وسام صار بيضحك تاني في اللبس. ماشي بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه بعد. Tonight we'll talk about one of the invalidators of the prayers, but it's very important. I think if you have time, just stick around. We might address a few things common practice in the masjid in general in Ramadan. We are going to talk about one of the invalidators of the prayer, the too much move. The much move we might do in the prayers. We do separate actions. Either we move our body or we use some part of our body, like we move our hands, we move our heads, we scratch our hair, we scratch our back, or maybe some people, they fix their clothes, they fix their hat, they fix their turban, they have like the shell. Sometimes they play with their phones. We have the hadith given little bit of flexibility of move, reflecting this, and some of the hadith very strict. One of the hadiths very strict that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam directly told one of the Sahaba, this is prayer, nothing allowed in it but dhikr and dua. You cannot do move, you cannot do reply to salam, you do anything except for focusing on the prayer and doing dhikr and dua. Scratching, not one of them. Playing with your clothes is not one of them. And according to this hadith, we have a very limited allowance in actions in the prayer, that we are obligated to do what is to do the pillars and to focus on reading and recitations. Also, one of the principles of the prayer to keep humbleness and tranquility in the practice of the prayer. And when you do much move, right and left, or using your hand, or look around, this is against this principle. On the other hand, we have a few ahadith reflecting that Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam did some actions while he was praying. The first one, that the hadith that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam stood up on the minbar, on the top of the minbar. The minbar of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, 3 levels. The top one he was standing in, and he made his takbir from the top of the minbar, and he started his prayers, and he did also the ruku' on the top of the minbar. When it came to sujood, he moved backward and he did sujood on the ground. So you can imagine that I'm praying on the highest level for standing and for ruku'. Then when it came to sujood, he came to the ground and he did sujood. This means that he did move backward. He did not keep the same spot for the entire prayer. And when he finished the sujood, he went up again and he started doing the second rak'ah, and he did this for the entire prayers. This hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, and at the end of it, the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, I did this in purpose to learn the way of making your prayers.
Yeah. Was he leading the prayer? Or
yes, he was leading the prayer.
Yeah,
was leading the prayer, and they were behind him. And this, it was in the, there is a report that's saying this was in the prayer of Al-Jum'ah. The second hadith, that in Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, one day, it's reported by Abu Qatada al-Harith ibn Rab'i. He said one day Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam came out of one of his houses and carrying Umama bint Abil As ibn Rabi', the granddaughter of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, on his shoulders. She was like 3 or 4 years old, and he was carrying her on the shoulders, and he started his prayers while he is carrying her, and because not to fall in the ruku', when he was making ruku' and sujood, he used to drop her off on the ground, and when he was standing, he used to put her back on the shoulder, and he kept doing this for the entire prayers. Abu Dawood added to this hadith, because the other reports, they didn't say which prayer could be sunnah of the masjid. Abu Dawood, he said, I suggest this was the prayer of Dhuhr or Asr. We are talking about Fard prayer. Then also we have the third hadith that Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam was praying at home, and this is a clear cut that was a sunnah. He was praying at home, and the Sayyidah Aisha came and called from outside. She knocked the door and she called from outside. Then he moved forward and he opened the door. Then he went back to his spot of the prayers. This also means that the Nabi ﷺ did a move. We have this hadith talking about keeping your position, not doing any strange activities. And we have also some other hadith talking about that the Nabi ﷺ did some activities. And because of this, the scholars, they had and still have a dispute about moving in the prayers. What is agreed upon between all of the scholars, that any much strange activity is not related to the prayers and is not needed for the prayers, or for something related to the prayers, they will make your prayer invalid. Any much activities you do and is not related to the prayers or are needed to keep the safety of the prayers, they will make your prayers invalid. It's agreed upon in all of the school of practice. However, after that they got to make a distinction. What does much mean? The Ahnaf said, Ahnaf and Malikiyah, they said, the sign of muchness, it's from outside, not from inside, not related to you. It's related to those who are observing your prayer. If they saw you, they will say he's not praying. If they saw you, they will say he is not praying. And if someone saw you and got confused that you might be praying, because you are given impression that you are focused and you are doing maybe one thing out of this contents or another thing, then your prayer is still valid. They looked at the impression of the society around you. They consider you in the prayers or they don't consider you in the prayers, and you can tell yourself if you are outside also and you saw someone and you looked at him, he's in the prayer or not. For example, according to the Hanafi, if you saw someone keep playing with his hat and looking at his watch, or maybe he's unlocking his phone, what do you consider this? He's not praying. He's not praying. Especially all of these actions are not related to the prayers. And this is the opinion of Hanafi and Maliki, and they said the only exemption, things are excluded, what is needed for the prayers. For example, if you have to kill a scorpion or a snake, something is affecting you and you are trying to avoid something, then you have to move, even if you will turn right or left. Then they said this is not included because there is some other hadith that the Nabi ﷺ said, fight these several things. One of them is scorpion, one of them is even if you are in the prayers. And also they said what is needed for the prayers itself, even if there is a much move. Like you broke your wudu in the first rak'ah or the second rak'ah, You go outside and renew your wudu and come back and join the imam while he's praying and catch up. Whatever you did in the beginning is counted, and whatever is missed, you make it up. And whatever you catch up towards the end is counted. Also they said, all of the action going out and coming in again and making the wudu, it's needed to do your wudu. In this case, this will not make your prayers invalid. Shafi'i and Hanbali, they said, the impressions of the others, it doesn't matter. Here we have to rely on the consideration of the society, the consideration of people. They look at this act as much, or they look at it as little of work. What between us? They look at fixing the head is much work or is not much work. If they look at it as not much work in the entire society, then this is acceptable. It will not make, it's against the preference anyway, but will not make your prayers invalid. The problem with the Shafi'i and Hanbali opinion that then we will not have one rule. What is okay in Pakistan is not okay in Saudi Arabia, is not okay in Egypt, is different from what, then we will have different rules for and what is okay for the one tribe is different from another practice. And in fiqh we have to have some kind of agreement to say this is valid or this invalid. However, the truth is, or what we believe in from all of the collections of the school of practice, we have to make a distinction. This is the conclusion. We have to make a distinction between fard and sunnah. The first one, fard, we should be more strict. We don't do moves except for what is needed for the prayer and what is needed to keep the tranquility in the prayers. For example, someone is praying and he needs to move forward to fill a gap, then he moves forward to complete the line. This is not strange if he's coming from the third line or the second line. This is needed. Someone, he is praying and his phone is ringing and disturbing the entire prayer, he could go down and pick it up and turn it off. And this by itself, according to the Shafi'i and the Hanbali, it's much work, because holding the phone and turning off, this is much work and the custom of the people. But it's needed to keep the peace and the tranquility. Someone is bringing his kid, like sometimes we see it in Ramadan, or we do it in Friday, and he left the kid on the ground, brother or sister, and the kid starts crying. In this case, he is allowed to go and hold this kid, try to calm him down, and his prayer is okay because it's needed for the prayers. Other than that, what is not needed for the prayers is not allowed to be done on the fard prayers. The moves that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, the Malikiya replied to this. They said this was in the beginning, just to show them in the minbar the rituals of the prayer until they understood completely the rules of the prayer, then it went. And he said, they reported this once. And if it's always the rule, he can do it every Jum'ah, but he did not do it every Jum'ah. He did it once just to show them about what he's doing and to give a chance for everyone to see what he's doing in the Jum'ah prayer. And carrying Umama, they said it was a Sunnah prayer, and this is the second scenario. We said in Sunnah prayers, you could do more things you are not allowed to do in the fard prayers, because Sunnah, it's less in the value. and less in the restrictions. As I said, the conclusion: any act you needed to keep the tranquility of the prayer, or to make up things that you missed in the prayer, and to be in compliance and harmony with the jama'ah of the prayers, then it's allowed. Anything else strange from the prayers is strict in the fard, and it could be allowed in the sunnah, including opening the door if the door on the qibla, if the door in front of you, not the back of you. Understood? Okay. May Allah.
If, for example, your hat is loose, it's bigger, sometimes you go for sujood and it falls down, should you replace it or let it be?
Yes. If you believe that you have to keep the hat on the head, like many strict people that they believe in the head cover, then you need to put it back, because it's recommended according to them to keep the hat. And again, also fixing the hat is not a much move. Is not طبعا put it back, but not tie it, not tying it around. May Allah forgive all of our sins.